Hi y'all, it is Maddie, and it has been forever since I have done a sit down type video like this. Um, if you guys are new, like I said, my name's Maddie. I am a mom to two little girls. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 3.5-month-old. I am way more active on like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. It's just really easy to throw up shorter videos. And I am not all dolled up. I keep telling myself I need to like get ready one day and then like sit down and film content. But like y'all, I got two kids and that's just not really possible. But I have videos that I want to film, so I am going to just film them. Because I don't think I look that bad right now, to be honest. My hair's a little crazy. I need to wash it. I also just chopped it off and I love it. I have like little bangs. It's so cute. But today I want to talk about breastfeeding, my breastfeeding journey, my biggest tips, and all of that. I'm very, very passionate about breastfeeding. And I want to clarify that I am not against formula. I do wish that in the US we had higher formula standards. I wish that more people were educated on how to properly prepare formula. And I know for a fact that there are a lot of women that want to breastfeed and then end up not being able to for a variety of reasons, which I will touch on as it's, what am I trying to say? As I will touch on as it applies to me a little bit. So I breastfed my first until she was 2, and I was actually 6 months pregnant, and I am 3.5 months into breastfeeding my second baby. I don't do bottles or pacifiers, and I was a milk donor with my first. So I mean, we're just gonna get into everything. I wrote everything down, and I'm just gonna tell y'all what helped me, kind of my journey, things I wish other breastfeeding moms knew, just like all of my thoughts about breastfeeding. I am by no means an expert. I am not a lactation consultant. I am not a doctor. And I really want to preach from the beginning of this video that lactation consultants are the best. They are the best. You need one. You need to know of one that you can call. You need to call them when you need them. WIC has them for free. So that is like my biggest thing, first and foremost. But yeah, let's just jump in. So I want to talk about the beginning of both of my journeys. I had a emergency C-section with my first and a scheduled C-section with my second. So support was incredibly important both times from professionals and from family. So support in the hospital. I didn't know how to breastfeed. It does not come as naturally as some people say it does. I didn't know how to latch my baby. I'm holding this like, with my first, this like limp, tiny human, and I'm supposed to like get them to latch perfectly onto my breast. Like, it's terrifying. And I actually had Izzy latching incorrectly. And it was very painful. I had her just on the end, and like, you need to get as much of your nipple in their mouth as possible. Lactation consultants are going to check for lip ties. They're going to show you different positions to feed your baby, all of that stuff. So it's incredibly important for me. With my first, she had a nursing strike at about 24 hours old. This can be pretty common, but it was very stressful. I was able to pump and express enough colostrum. I'm an oversupplier. I just am. I'm a very big oversupplier. And she showed me how to syringe feed her, so that was really cool as well, because I did not want to introduce a bottle yet, and I ended up never really introducing one. And then even with my second baby, it was a completely different baby, and I had not held a newborn and nursed a newborn in 2.5 years, and I was like, oh my, well, not quite 2.5 years, 27 months, 2.25 years. And it was different than I remembered. I was like tiny, very tiny human. And with my second, I really wanted to avoid the nursing strike, and I was able to do that by doing skin to skin and offering the breast regularly. So yeah, and a lactation consultant is going to go over with you whether or not your milks come in. Mine came in while I was pregnant with both. With my first, I started leaking colostrum at 20 weeks, and by the end of my pregnancy, I was waking up in a puddle of milk. I was made to feed babies. I was not made to birth them, but I was made to feed them. My second, like I said, breastfed until I was 6 months pregnant, and it just never went away. Yeah. And I actually, just like a funny thing, I don't know if I talked about this, if I put a note about this, I had gestational diabetes with my first pregnancy, and I didn't have it with my second. And usually if you have it, you're going to get it again. And I really think it's because I breastfed for so long. Because breastfeeding, I want to pause and talk about this, because there might be some people that are like, why would you breastfeed your kid until they're 2? There are so many benefits for baby and mom, and that includes lower risk of certain types of cancer, lower risk of diabetes, and having gestational diabetes is an indicator that, I don't know if it's actually an indicator or if it's it could be a sign that you are likely to develop diabetes later on in life, or if you become overweight. And so breastfeeding does lower your risk of diabetes, certain types of cancers. It is so good for mom. It's great for baby. And the CDC, AAP, and WHO recommend breastfeeding until 24 months. And then as long as mom and baby want to. My goal was to make it until 2. I went until 25 months, and Izzy was done and I was done. And I'm going to talk about what it looked like to wean her. So yeah, none of this like they're too old. No, we don't. It's great. This is not the video for you if you feel that way. So yeah, I didn't pump with Izzy. Once I tried a couple times, and we would kind of offer her a bottle, but I'm home with my kids. And so there was never really a reason for me to pump. Around 9 months, I did become a milk donor. When Izzy was 9 months old, because it was during the formula shortage, and that was really cool to get to do. But I wasn't leaving her regularly with people, so there wasn't a point in her taking a bottle. And even now with Kennedy, like, we've kind of offered it a couple times, but I'm like, I'll just feed her. I'll just feed her. Because it's, for me being a stay-at-home mom, it is more work for me to sit down, pump, put it in a bottle, give her to someone else, and then, because every time they take a bottle, you have to pump, or it can affect your supply. And even though I have an oversupply, I don't want to risk losing my supply. So it's the rule of thumb is every time you give your baby a bottle, you need to pump. And like, I don't want to commit to that. So basically, I just never do. And also, I don't have a dishwasher or a bottle sterilizer. And so every time I pump, I have to hand wash all those parts. I have to hand wash all the bottles. Like, it's just not worth it. And like, Kennedy doesn't really do well with the bottle, and you're supposed to pace feed them. Like, it just doesn't work for me and my family. And something a lot of people ask me with Izzy is, well, then how do you get a break? As they get older, they can go longer and longer without eating. That sounds bad, but they can. And they do. I'm about to start going to the Y, and I'm going to leave the girls in the daycare while I'm there, and I'm going to nurse Kennedy before I leave her there. I'll probably poke my head, and they can come get me too if she's hungry. I'm going to tell them, if you think she's hungry, come get me. But I'm not going to bring a bottle for her, and that might be kind of crazy, but, I'm not ever, like, leaving, but yeah, I just don't do bottles. They just don't make sense for us. And then the pacifiers, I sort of offered them to both girls. Kennedy took one for, that's my second, a couple weeks. No, not even a couple weeks, like a week. And then she was like, I'm over it. Also, neither one of my babies liked being swaddled. Like, would get utterly pissed. Like, the first couple days they were cool with it. And then after that, it was like setting a bomb off when I tried to swaddle them. Like, they would not calm down. Anyway, so then I want to talk about, next I want to talk about solids. I am a mom that waits until 6 months. I feel like the research shows waiting until 6 months is better. I feel like my kids have their entire lives to eat, and my breast milk is more than enough. I make very chunky babies. Well, they don't come out chunky. They get very chunky on my milk. When I was pumping, I would have like the biggest milk plugs. So I'm not really worried about their nutrition. So yeah, and our doctor is amazing, very research-based, and he also agrees with waiting until 6 months for my kids. Izzy, though, was not interested in solids until 14 months. So every time after she was 6 months old, we would sit down to eat. I would make her a plate. We did try baby led weaning, but she threw up, or she choked twice. And I was like, we're done. We're going to purees. Um, and her doctor made sure she could swallow, made sure, like, whatever. And he was like, she's just not interested. Like, she's clearly getting enough from breast milk. She was 33 pounds at 10 months. She has since slimmed down. Um, some of her clothes she's gotten to wear for a couple rounds because she was wearing 5T at 10 months and now she's 2.5 and she's in 3T. So like it's been a whole journey. It has been a whole journey. But she didn't actually start like sitting down and eating until 14 months. And she still wasn't eating a ton then. Like people would be like, what are you feeding her? Like, in public, like the old people. I was like, she's exclusively breastfed almost. So I was really picky, just like a side note, until she was like actually eating a bunch of food. I was very picky with her snacks. I was getting snacks with no added sugar. I was offering her a lot of fruit and veggies. And once we went back into baby led weaning, because we did purees for I think until she was like 10 months, and then I started offering her baby led weaning again, which is the solid, like the regular food. I was just really picky. What I'm trying to say, because she wasn't eating a lot of solids, I wanted them to be healthy. Now she's 2.5 and she lives on carbs and cheese. So I mean, also with her being a bigger baby, something that my doctor, we talked about, is she drinking juice? Is she having a lot of sugary snacks? And I was like, no, like I'm very picky. I did not let her have juice. I still don't let her have juice all the time. If she asks for juice or chocolate milk or something like that, and she hasn't had a lot, I will, like a lot of sugar that day, I do give it to her. I've lightened up a lot on that. But I plan to be the same way with my younger daughter, simply because unless they're consuming a lot of solids, I think it is important for them to have healthy snacks. And I still think it's important for my daughter to have healthy snacks. I offer her healthy snacks, but also if she is choosing to survive on chocolate milk and a couple bites of mac and cheese that day, that is her prerogative. And water, she also has a water bottle. But I just don't stress now. Like she's 2.5, you know what your body needs. I'm gonna offer you food. You're gonna eat what you're gonna eat. We're not fighting about it. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the approach I take. So Izzy would not drink milk anywhere unless it was from the tap. We tried warming the milk. We tried my milk cold. I think there was one point after she was 1, they can have cow's milk. We tried cow's milk because I started working when she was 15 months old is when I started working part-time in the evenings, and we would offer her cow's milk, my milk pumped, warm, cold, in a bottle, in a sippy cup. She would not drink my milk unless it was from the tap, and she would not drink cow's milk. So, but when I started working, she had already been eating solids, so we would just offer her water and solids. I say we, it was my parents. Or I did start offering Izzy a little sippy cup of water at 6 months when we started solids, and they can't consume more than, I think it's like 2 ounces of water in a 24-hour period. And I introduced the take and toss cups. And then at 8 months, she was able to drink from a straw. I love straws. She was like always copying me, obviously, like she's with me 24/7. And yeah, she ended up drinking from a straw, so we went to straw cups. She can drink from an open mouth cup now, but we prefer straws. We prefer little insulated water bottles with the straws. So both of us. So yeah, I did start working evenings just for about 2 months because the restaurant closed, sadly. So from the time she was 15 to around 17 months, right before I got pregnant with Kennedy, actually. And I didn't pump. Legally, they have to let me, but I didn't need to. So again, I'm just made to feed babies. My breasts don't get like full. Like they get full and then they let down on their own. And I thought that everyone's did this. I do have to wear nursing pads the entire time I'm breastfeeding though, because like they will just let down. Another thing, like I We were in IKEA and Kennedy was sleeping in the stroller, and I looked at her and I was like, I just love her so much. And my boobs were like in my bra. Like, they squirt. They go for distance. It's messy breastfeeding, y'all. For me anyway. But yeah, they just let down on their own. The other day, Izzy was crying. We were having a rough moment, and my boobs again were like, psh. I had postpartum anxiety and depression with my first, and I feel like breastfeeding really helped my mental health. And I know this is something that a lot of women, like some women say, it made their mental health worse. For me, breastfeeding like releases so many good hormones. It does, like, it actually does. It releases oxytocin. I can't remember all of them right now. I'm tired, but it releases lots of good hormones. And something about it is so relaxing for me. And again, it's not for everyone. Some women have like rage when they're breastfeeding. Some women, like, breastfeeding's painful, and I get that, and I want to validate that. But for me, it's like very relaxing. It feels very right. And it's not painful for me. I had one clogged duct in my entire breastfeeding journey with Izzy, and I was able to get it unclogged. I did run a fever though. Like, it was more painful than I was expecting. Like, that was pretty intense. But I think that breastfeeding is something you either really like or you don't like it, and that's kind of the way that it is. Like, I have a friend who just had a baby, and she was like, you know what, like, breastfeeding was so stressful for me the first time, and I didn't enjoy it, and I plan on breastfeeding my next baby, because she was pregnant at the time, for like a week, maybe two, to give her, start her off with some good antibodies and stuff, but then I'm done. I used to definitely be someone that, when I first started breastfeeding Izzy and it was going really well for me and I really enjoyed it, I was like, why wouldn't women want to do this? This is so easy. Like, they showed me how to do it and it was so easy and I'm enjoying it. And then I realized, like, wait, most people, not every woman has this support, and not every woman feels this way, and not every woman's body works the way yours does, Maddie. I had some growing to do there. Some growing, you know, I came on breastfeeding TikTok and saw women talking about how difficult it can be, and clogged ducts, and being full and your body not letting down and all that. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I got pregnant when Izzy was 7 months old, or 17 months old, not 7, 17. And I decided to breastfeed through my pregnancy. My doctor, I really liked her, but she was like, it can cause preterm labor. And I was like, am I at risk for preterm labor? And she goes, no. But I recommend all my moms, when they get pregnant, to wean their babies. And I said, okay, like, I hear you, but the research that I have done is, unless I'm at risk, I'm going to keep feeding my baby. Now, before y'all come at me, I was in nurse family partnership with a registered nurse who breastfed her baby through her entire pregnancy and brought me the peer-reviewed articles that show that you are not at an increased risk of preterm labor unless you have other issues. If you're pregnant with twins, if you've had an incompetent cervix, if you've gone into preterm labor before. So she was like, I don't love this. And I was like, that's fine. I was also a lot more, I stood up for myself a lot more in my second pregnancy. And I found a doctor I really liked. I liked her a lot. This is something we didn't agree on, but I did like her. My first pregnancy was traumatic. They were not nice. But anyway, but yeah, I told her I'm going to breastfeed until my milk dries up. We decide to wean, or if I have any Braxton Hicks or whatever when I'm breastfeeding, I will be done. I will humor you there. So, I just kept breastfeeding. My milk changed at some point, but, because it changes. Like, some women say their baby quits nursing. Some women that nurse while they're pregnant say that their milk changes and their baby doesn't like it anymore. So I decided when Izzy was 20 months old to wean overnight. I was pregnant. I wasn't very pregnant yet. I was pregnant and I was tired. And she still doesn't sleep. But I did not want to be the only one getting up with her. To be honest, I did not want to be the only one that could put her to sleep. That was a big thing for me, about to have another baby, you know, in a couple months. And frankly, I was just sick of getting up and breastfeeding. That was something that was a boundary for me. And I felt kind of bad about it. And Jacob was like, you're allowed to have boundaries. Like, you're pregnant. You're allowed to feel certain ways. Like, if you don't want to get up and breastfeed her, that's fine. So I would get up and rock her instead. And it was honestly pretty painless to night wean her. Sometimes she would ask for milk and I'd be like, can I have water here? And we can cuddle, and she'd drink her water, and I'd rock her and she'd go back to sleep. Yeah, y'all do not come at me for Izzy having sleep issues. We have tried everything. We're waiting to get in with a pediatric sleep specialist because something is wrong. It's editing Maddie, and we have been to the sleep specialist, and she was diagnosed with insomnia and anxiety surrounding sleep. And she has a sleep study in January. I weaned her at 20 months. I completely weaned her at 25 months. I just felt like we were done. She was not really latching a ton, and then she kept biting me. She would ask for milk and she would latch for like 2 seconds and then bite me, and like it was painful because she had a mouth full of teeth. And I had a bump, you know. I was getting touched out a lot easier. I don't enjoy being pregnant, and so I was like over it. I was overwhelmed, to be honest. And so I had started, I want to think how to put this, sort of gently weaning her. So around coming up on her second birthday, like 2 weeks before, I had started, when she would ask for milk, I'd be like, do you want a snack? And sometimes she'd say yes, and sometimes she'd say, no, I want milk. And so I'd give her milk. Sometimes she would eat the snack and then still want milk. So I had significantly cut down on her amount of nursing by offering her snacks instead. So yeah, I'd be like, do you want a snack and you want to cuddle? So she'd like eat her snack and I would hold her. And I feel like that helped a lot because kids also nurse for comfort, and so still offering her that comfort while she has a snack, I feel like was a really good correlation for her. But I think I held on a little bit because, yeah, like the last week, I would say, I think I weaned it just the right time. It had been a couple days. Like the day before, she had bit me once. She had actually nursed like twice, but she didn't nurse for very long at all. Like 2 minutes, which is like nothing. And then the next day she asked for milk, like, I want to say like 5 times, but bit me every time and was like laughing about it. And I went to Jacob and I was just crying, and I was like, I feel bad taking it from her like on a bad day. Like they say never quit breastfeeding because of on a bad day. Like, make sure you actually want to be done. But I was like, I just feel like she's done. The idea of like waking up and breastfeeding her tomorrow is like making my skin crawl. Like, I do not want to do this. I'm upset. My nipples hurt. Like, I'm pregnant. I want to be done, but I feel bad. And I had like a whole breakdown. And Jacob was like, okay, pause. You wanted to go to until 2. You're 25 months. You've gone 25 months. Which I also was like, I don't want a tandem nurse. I knew I did not want a tandem nurse 2 babies. And I think I wanted to be done at 2. I know I have some mom friends that go until 3, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want to be honest with you. But I felt guilty. Part of me felt guilty for not being willing to continue. And Jacob was like, okay, pause. You have gone until 2, which is amazing. You have gone with a recommended amount. That is very hard for women to get to. You have sacrificed a lot to get here. And it's okay. It's okay. And he was like, I think she's done, Maddie. She did not actually latch at all today. She just bit you every time and laughed. I think y'all are done. And I feel like I could cry right now thinking about this conversation. He was so supportive. But it was such a hard decision to make. And I knew we were both done. But I knew at that moment that like I had nursed her for the last time without knowing it was the last time. And I knew that I needed to just kind of like bite the bullet. I had done as much as I could to prepare her for this, offering her snacks, offering her cuddles, that kind of thing. And so the next day, you know, usually we would get up and she would nurse, and I was just like, we're not doing that anymore. I was real nice about it, and you know, I hugged her. She cried. She cried. It was hard. Um, I think I might have let her nurse one more time. I think I felt bad, and I was like, you can nurse one more time, and then we're done. And she nursed for a couple minutes, and I was like, okay, yeah, I remember I did because I wanted that one last time. And then we were done. That day she asked for it, I think, one other time. And then she just wanted to cuddle instead. She didn't want a snack. And then the next morning she cried about it as well. But we cuddled, and she didn't ask for it again. And the next morning after that, she asked for it, not crying. And I just said, no, we cuddle now. We just cuddle. And that was it. Something people have asked me is, you know, does she get jealous seeing Kennedy breastfeed? Has she tried to breastfeed off of you since having her? Like, what does that look like? Izzy knows that Kennedy's breastfeeding. I ask her, do you remember mommy breastfeeding you? And she says, yeah. And I think she does. I really think she does. She likes to help me. She'll hold like the base of my breast while I'm breastfeeding, which I think is really sweet. Sometimes if Kennedy's hungry, like Jacob will be like, I think she's hungry, and she'll be like, Kennedy needs your milk, mom. Izzy has been like, I want the milk. And I said, you know, do you want like a cup of milk? Because she does drink milk now. I said, do you want a cup of milk? And she goes, no, I want mommy's milk. And I said, well, you don't drink mommy's milk. And she goes, can I pretend? And so she'll like be outside my shirt, and she'll pretend to gulp. And I think that it's just her wanting that connection. We still cuddle a lot, but you know how they say like sometimes older siblings will revert, and I think sometimes she just wants to be a baby. And so I'll cuddle her up. I'm like, oh, my baby. She even recently pretended, I think she pretended to nurse off of Jacob. And I think it's just her searching for a connection. I think it's very innocent, and I don't stop her. I'm like, okay, you can have some milk. And I have found, you know, I really try to make things even between my kids. If I'm taking pictures of Kennedy, because she's an adorable baby, and I'm telling her, you're so cute, all this stuff, I'm going to turn into the exact same thing to Izzy. And so, you know, Izzy got on this, like, pretend to nurse me and pretend to burp me. And so I would cuddle her up, and I would talk to her how I talk to Kennedy. And I pretend to burp her when she asks. And I think it's very sweet. Because we don't really do baby talk except for when they're like real little like this. And I just kind of talk to them normally, but I'll still tell Kennedy, like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. Like, I talk to her like that, and she like smiles. And so I think sometimes Izzy is also wanting that. And I think that's okay. I have a couple more things I wanted to talk about. I feel like for breastfeeding, you really only need nursing pads. Let me back up. I really only use nursing breast pads. I can understand needing a pump and stuff like that. I actually have a video planned that I'm going to give my opinions on different nursing products and what I use, which is the breast pads, and things that I think are dumb, things that I can see being useful, and like for the type of person they'd be useful for. So if you want to watch that video, subscribe. Something, y'all, I want to preach. I have this woman I follow, and it's, oh my god, I can't think of her thing. I'm going to put it on the screen. She will show you how to baby wear your baby. It's Let's Talk Baby Wearing. She will show you how to baby wear your baby in any carrier, in any position, at any age. She will show you. She is the woman. And she taught me when Izzy was a baby how to breastfeed in a carrier. I didn't do it a lot with Izzy. I just didn't get very comfortable with it. It has been a game changer with two. I can be in Walmart shopping, And you gotta kind of pay attention. You do. But I can be shopping and like watching Izzy and pushing the cart and like she's nursing. She is eating. Game changer. Game changer. Amazing. It's my favorite thing. It's so much easier because like I said, I make big babies. Kennedy is probably getting close to 20 pounds already. And she gets heavy trying to hold her and nurse her, okay? Carrier's the way to do it. Like we were in IKEA and I tried to carry her around and I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like nursing her, and then I put her in the carrier and nursed her, and like she fell asleep, and then they're just in the carrier good to go. And she shows you how to safely baby wear, where you know your baby's comfortable and you're comfortable, and like you need to follow her if you're a mom and you wanna rock baby wearing. I don't cover when I breastfeed. This is something that's controversial, okay? This is. I feel like boobs are for babies. From a biological standpoint, they're there to make milk for my babies. And I can understand that men are attracted to them. And some women, I can respect that. But there is nothing sexual about me feeding my child. So if you cannot differentiate that there are times that you can be like, oh yeah, titties, and there's times that it's not appropriate to be that way, that's a you problem. And the analogy, there's a couple analogies I give because some people really struggle to grasp the concept that titties are not just there for sex. Some men like feet, and we still wear sandals because feet are for walking, right? And then some people love to be like, well, we don't poop in front of each other. No, but as a society, we do eat in front of each other, and my child is eating. It's not gross. It's not sexual. It is very biologically normal. And also, you can't really see anything. Once the baby's latched, you can't see my nipple because it's in their mouth. And breasts are fat. Like, it's just a thing of fat and milk ducts, okay? And, you know, women are out here wearing crop tops. Love that for them. I do. I support the crop top. But, like, some of them have tummies, and their fat is fine there, but the fat on my chest is, like, a little more rounded. Now you have a problem because, like, you're turned on. If you were turned on by me feeding my child, you're nasty. Like, that's just the way it is. In my whole 25 months of breastfeeding, I had one woman be rude to me, and it was in front of Jacob, and she was like, how do you feel about her breastfeeding with other men around? And Jacob said, I feel like people should mind their goddamn business. It was a slay. It was a hard slay. I get dirty looks. I just ignore them. I don't give dirty looks back. I literally just don't acknowledge them, and it pisses them off even more, and I live for it. I got the most looks when I was visibly pregnant and breastfeeding a toddler. Not gonna lie. And I get it because a lot of people were confused. I live in Texas, and I feel like it was just like a sight to see, and I get it. But I feel like it's important to see breastfeeding be normalized. Covers are hot. They're a hassle. They're another thing for me to deal with. I need to be able to see my baby eating. Like I said, I have an oversupply with very powerful letdowns, and Izzy would choke at first. So did Kennedy. They would literally like, and like, no, I need to be able to see my baby. And honestly, I'm not that smooth. Like sometimes if I'm like sitting here feeding them, right? Like either kid that I breastfed and they come off, like I gotta put it away. Everybody's seen nipples too, though. That's the thing that I don't get. Men's nipples are fine, but you put a little fat behind it and it's the end of the world. Like, make that make sense. So if someone sees a little nipple, like, that is not my problem. Again. And here's the other thing. You are legally protected in all 50 states to breastfeed without a cover. Anywhere you are allowed to be, you are allowed to breastfeed. And they are not allowed to ask you to cover up. That is a lawsuit. That is a lawsuit waiting to happen. So I stand behind that with my whole chest, baby. My whole chest. You do not need all the extra supplements and stuff that they will try to sell you. The lactation cookies, all that. Most of those are not backed by science. I don't think there's any science to support them, to be honest with you. Eat. eat when you're hungry. I am a mom that the weight does not fall off of me when I breastfeed, and that's okay. The way that I look at breastfeeding is a lot of the same way I look at pregnancy. Like, obviously, you want to be conscious about what you're eating, but like, I won't go into a calorie deficit because I don't want to mess with my milk supply. So, I shared my body for 10 months. Pregnancy is 10 months. With my baby, growing them, nurturing them, and then they come out and I'm still using my body to help them grow and nurture them. And so I don't restrict food, I don't calorie count, I don't do any of that stuff. So it's important to eat when you're hungry. It's important to get in enough protein, healthy fats, as they call it, as well. And then there's no special drink. I know people are like the body armors, the liquid IV. Listen, if you want to drink that stuff, that's great. It's not a magic potion. Water, 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 water. Drink water even if you're drinking those. Drink it up. It's important to take care of yourself for your mental health as well as for your physical health when it comes to breastfeeding your baby. There is no special diet. You know, Jacob's dad was actually asking me the other day, like, do you have to like eat really healthy to make the best milk? And I was like, no. My body's gonna take what it needs to make milk. But yeah, snapping back is bowl. There's no magical product. Eat when you're hungry. I'm not saying just like eat whatever you want, eat junk food. No, but like you need to eat and stay hydrated. So this was just my thoughts, opinions, my experience breastfeeding. I love breastfeeding. I think it's important to have conversations about breastfeeding and support and all of that stuff. I'm actually working on making shirts about breastfeeding. So if you guys are interested in that, I will put the link down below to my shop. I'm very excited. I designed them. It's not like merch or anything, like it doesn't say my name. I'm just really passionate about breastfeeding and I love it. And it makes me sad that there's still people in 2023 that act like it's sexual, act like women do it past a certain age for themselves, act like babies shouldn't be breastfed after they can ask for it or whatever. Like it gives me the ick. But yeah, I'm gonna link like a ton of stuff for y'all down below. Like Let's Talk Baby Wearing, my TikTok and Instagram. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about breastfeeding, I would love to try and answer them. Again, not a professional. I'm also gonna link one of my friends that is a former Marine. She's a baddie and soon to be lactation consultant. She just took her test and she is an amazing woman, an amazing lactation consultant. And yeah, love her. So I'm gonna link her down below as well. And that's everything. I gotta remember to link this all. Maddie, I'm looking at you. But yeah, also if you ever breastfed, were a breastfeeding mom, or a breastfeeding mom, I would love to hear a little bit about your journey and your experiences. And I hope that you all have a wonderful day.